It's Thursday night and the beards are back. Football season is back and so are we. Everybody, I'm your main man, Mayhem. You know these guys at the top, but I'm going to say them anyway. Got Big Smooth and Monty. And boys, summer vacation is over. Football is back.
Hell
How
yeah.
are we doing, fellas?
How we doing?
I'm doing
gentlemen?
great. Doing great. Dude, first off, we haven't been on the air since Monty's been married, right?
Yes, sir.
Congratulations,
Monty.
Monty. Married man. Looking good. Looking svelte, doing the intermittent fasting, trying to
Yeah.
slim up. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Lost for the wedding.
I love it. I'm glad everything worked out great. I know we're excited about football. I'm super excited. And as soon as Saquon surprisingly signed his deal and he was at camp, we were all pumped about getting back on the show and just talking some Giants football. Let's go around the horn. Monty, what was your first thought when you saw that surprise pop across? I don't know if you got Schefter or Rappaport, whoever kind of broke that news.
That's that Saquon signed that 1-year deal.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I think my first thought went to this has got to be guaranteeing that there's no second tag. I'm like, this is the only way this thing gets done. And I look into the details and I'm like, oh, okay, they gave him a little bit more money. I'm like, all right, I guess that makes sense. But man, I couldn't believe that how it played out. Like, look, I always thought Saquon was going to show up and play the first game of the season, but I couldn't believe how fast that turned around. We didn't have to deal with even the first day of Shane and Dable having to answer questions with Saquon not in this team. I'll be honest, I was shocked. I really was. What about you, Smooth?
Honestly, I was surprised. Shocked would be going a little too far, but I was surprised to the extent that he was at camp day one. But then I thought about it, and I said this to you guys in the pre-show. Saquon is a football player. He is a team guy. He always has been. He's a captain. He has always represented the Giants in the way that he's supposed to. And I figured they would get something done. I thought it was going to be a 2-year deal, maybe a little less guaranteed money. But I honestly thought, I mean, he is exactly where he wants to be. He wants to prove it on the field. He wants to kind of have that same fuck you mentality that he just got last year. And again, try to see if he can roll the dice and maybe they give him a long-term deal because he stays healthy along the way. But that was my initial reaction. He's not Le'Veon Bell. He doesn't have outside interests. He's not rapping. He's not boxing. He's not doing all kinds of crazy shit. He is a football player. He works out. He plays football for the New York Giants. I was surprised, but I wasn't shocked. Mayhem, what you got, Sarge?
So you always have to remember that I'm 2 hours behind you. So when I roll over, when my alarm goes off at 6:45 in the morning, and I roll over and I look at my phone and it says Ian Rappaport says Saquon signed a 1-year deal. I was, what? I mean, I like, am I still dreaming? Did my alarm go off? But no, it's it's exciting. So there wasn't a whole. I mean, of course they couldn't have signed him to a long-term deal because the franchise that deadline had passed. But I thought it was a little interesting in the way they worked it, and I have a question for you guys since we're talking about the new deal. Do you think? Now here's the thing. Here's the stipulation. He did not sign the franchise tag, so he was not tagged. He agreed to a 1-year deal with incentives. So, like Monty brought up a good point. Like, does that preclude them from tagging him next year? Or the fact that he signed a contract and not the franchise tag, do you think that allows them to continue negotiations and maybe get him a long-term deal later on in the season?
So from my understanding is that this is really the same thing as the tag for the most part. You can add on to a 1-year deal, but like if we tag him again next year, it's going to be 120% of what the tag is.
Right. But But the thing is this:
I don't think anything
the
changed.
franchise tag price next year doesn't change. However, he didn't actually sign the tender like Tony Pollard did. He signed a contract where they gave him $2 million up front at signing, and then he gets his base salary for this year is $8 million, and plus he's got the $900,000 in incentive. But my question is the fact that he did not sign the tender but an actual contract does it mean they're going to continue to work on that long-term deal, or is Joe Schoen just going to focus on getting more deals done throughout the season with guys who are coming up, like, say, Xavier McKinney?
I think Joe Schoen has proven in his very short tenure that he is not afraid to use every possible leverage that he has, every tool in his tool belt. So I don't think that they would be opposed to tagging him again if that's what it took. I think that's a sad reality for for especially running backs in the NFL. But I mean, it's literally, to say that they wouldn't do that, I don't think there was an understanding. There may have been like a wink and a nod that they're not going to tag him, but let's play this game. I'll return it with another question, and then I'll go to Monty, and then Sarge, you can answer too. What if Saquon has a great year, and it's tied to their greatness, whether they get a game past where they went, or hopefully for us, they're playing in the Super Bowl. If they have that type of season, and he doesn't put up gaudy numbers, but he's just a fucking solid part of this team, do you think that they're going to sign him long term because the team is winning a little bit more than they did last year? Or let's say they don't win the division. I'm using it as if they improve on last season and he doesn't put up 1,300 yards, he puts up 1,100, and maybe he has a couple hundred more yards receiving. They have a lot more weapons now, so they can spread it around a little bit. I don't see them signing him long term because he's a running back. I mean, people want to lease; they don't want to buy. Mm-hmm. So, what are your thoughts, Monty?
Yeah, so I'll say, just to touch on what we're talking about too, as well, is from my understanding, I don't think we're allowed to negotiate, despite the fact it's a 1-year deal. I don't think we can until whatever point in the season it would have been with the tag. I think it's the same. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the case. But as far as to what Smooth asked, it's an interesting question, right? Because I've had the thought too, is what will we do? And I don't think I think if you ask Joe Schoen, like, truth serum, all that, if he would, like, if he thinks it's a good idea to extend Saquon long term after his deal, after a year, I think he'd say no. But
right.
Like, look, if we have another good year, and Saquon is a huge leader in this locker room, and he is a cog in a successful team, I would have a hard time seeing them not extend an olive branch of some sort to Saquon. I don't think it would be 2 years fully guaranteed or anything like that, but I do think it would be, I could see them giving him a contract that likely would give him 2 years. Like, you would have to eat a lot of dead cap not to make it to 2 years. I don't think that's their preferred situation, but just how much he means to this team, and also like what he did this offseason. Like, he really kind of showed the type of, we, like you kind of mentioned before, Smooth, like he's a football player. This team means everything to him. Like, we knew all that stuff, but he showed it to us when he showed up to camp day one. Didn't even miss a practice. Look, that's not necessarily what I would want, but sometimes all this isn't as simple as, what's the analytical smart approach for this. There's a human side to this, and if they're building something here, and he stays healthy, I could see it. I could definitely see them do something, but it wouldn't be ideal given that we just did a full year guarantee this year, and then you would have to go 2 years beyond that with a lot of the extensions. So I don't know. It should be interesting how it plays out. Well, what about you, Sarge?
So both of you guys bring up good points, and my thought process is this: honestly, provided he stays healthy, I don't see a reason why they don't tag him again.
Yeah.
He'll be making more money than he's already done this year. And let's face it, by the time this year is all said and done, Saquon Barkley will have made $48 million. Everybody take a second to wrap your head around that price, that dollar amount.
You don't make that much money?
$48 million. No, I don't. Last time I checked. My bank account is short a couple of commas. So, honestly, they want to say face the franchise, team first, locker room guy. You know what, man? Franchise tag his ass again. I'm not losing any sleep over Saquon Barkley's bank account.
Yeah,
especially after Andrew Thomas got his back.
I get it.
Before we talk about Andrew Thomas, I have a couple little notes here about running backs in general, because you know how all of the running backs had their little Zoom meeting. They had their own little mini union meeting. I don't think they let Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert, who also just got his bag. I don't think they let those guys into that Zoom meeting. But they're like, oh, this should be changed for running backs. That should be changed for running backs. I got news for you guys. Nobody cares. Okay? The quarterbacks are making their money. The left tackles are making their money. The defensive ends, defensive tackles, corners, wide receivers, nobody cares about you running backs. I mean, I love a good running back, but they're not going to shorten the length of the CBA for you guys. They're not going to make these special rules, because let's face it, half of the guys who are, what is it? What they say, 90% of the players right now, the CBA really doesn't apply to, because they're not first round picks or second round picks. They don't have, no one's franchise tagging. I guarantee you that the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to franchise tag Isaiah Pacheco in 3 years. 7th round running back. It's not going to happen. They're going to offer him a contract. You know what he's going to do? He's going to take it, because he just won a Super Bowl, and he's smiling all the way to the bank. He doesn't care how many zeros or commas or whatever. He's got a job, and they want to ship, and that's what he's. But back to my notes. Okay. Quiz time, fellas, and I'm going to open this up to the chat too. Who can tell me the last time a running back won Super Bowl MVP? I'm accepting years and players. Anyone?
That's a great. I feel like it could have been.
Was it? Why am I blanking on his name? Who's the Broncos?
Terrell Davis? Terrell Davis?
Terrell Davis.
Hey, we did it. Teamwork.
Teamwork. 1997. Terrell Davis. Can somebody tell me how many running backs have won Super Bowl MVP?
Well, we got one on our team. Otis Anderson, 190. Good call by Chris. Terrell Davis is 2.
It used to be way more dominated back in the day. So
Marcus Allen, 3. Marcus Allen
is 3.
Riggins,
That's
4.
4.
Killing it.
Trying to think. Jim Brown is pre-Super Bowl, so that's not one.
Yep.
Lions have never made a Super Bowl. No Barry
Sanders. No Barry Sanders. Walter Payton didn't win.
Nope.
Did Emmett ever get one?
He did win one.
Yep.
5.
How many is the total? 7? 2.
Total is 7. So 2 more.
Emmett. There's one. Wasn't Tinny Smith one from the Redskins? Didn't he have 200 yards or something like that?
Nope.
In the game.
There was a Redskin, but it's not Tim Smith.
It's Riggins, but there was another Redskin?
Riggins. Nope. It was Riggins, and then you got one more.
No clue.
So you guys have 6 out of the 7. And you guys are going to kick yourself if I say the last one.
Don't say it, yeah.
3, 2,
Is it Biner?
1. No.
Who?
Monty, you get one more guess.
I do not know enough of Redskins.
Franco
history.
Harris. Franco Harris.
Who is it?
the last.
Oh,
Franco
Harris
Harris.
is the last
Oh, my God.
So, 7 running backs have won the Super Bowl MVP, not one since 1997, and that was Terrell Davis. Now, how many running backs have won league MVP? Give me a number. Don't start rattling off names.
10.
Used to be so much more prominent.
Monty, what's your guess?
8.
Okay, I'm going to give the chat a chance to chime in. How many running backs have won the league MVP? Go, chat.
Terrell Davis was 1.
Eli, if you're still there, come on, give me some.
Nobody.
No,
This is why running.
16.
This look at.
16.
He said 3. I love Chris.
That makes
Hey,
sense.
if this is any indication of the reason why running backs don't get paid, is because we're doing a trivia no one wants to fucking answer. So there you go.
Exactly.
There we go. Now it's coming in.
So here's the thing. They first started the league MVP award in 1957. Okay. The winner of the league MVP that year was Jim Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So a running back was the first league MVP, and he won it 3 times in his career. Who can tell me the last one?
To win a,
It's got to be Adrian Peterson, right?
yeah, I think AP.
Adrian Peterson in 2012. So,
AD all day.
AP all day. So, we haven't had a running back win league MVP in 11 years, or Super Bowl MVP in a whole hell of a lot more than that. I'm not doing the math right now because I've been drinking. So, that's why nobody wants to pay running back, because you don't win anything, fellas. Sorry. The quarterback is the essential, should be the focus of the offense. I mean, look at what happened today in Cincinnati.
Yep.
Non-contact injury for Joe Burrow.
Thank God it's just a calf strain.
Yeah, we hope.
No, that's what it is. Officially a calf strain.
That's official, but sometimes it's when the Achilles is weak like that. It can turn into something else. So hopefully he gets some good physical
those things
therapy.
can nag. So I'm still worried for him, but an Achilles tear would have been fucking awful.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, Sarge, these are all great points, and I love it. I think the thing that I would say is what's most interesting about all this, I think there's got to be some context around it, right? We're not ESPN, we're not Fox Sports 1, we're not trying to just get clicks. So the context around why that probably is the case is because what's that?
I said, I'm trying to get clicks. We're trying to build something.
But I want people to build it up. I want to build it off of substance and the fact that we know what the fuck we're talking about, not because we make statements like, well, I guess the Giants, like when Ryan Clark, what did Ryan Clark say? And I respectfully was just like, dude, that's just like the most ridiculous thing ever. When he would say, well, I guess the Giants send a message about everyone gets long-term contracts, but not you. Well, unfortunately, those same players don't have the position that is the least most valuable of any of those positions on the market. I don't care how elite you think Saquon is. That's just the bottom line. But also yes, no, I don't think anyone should feel sorry for him. But I think the context that I was about to mention is about the quarterback position started to be valued even more when they started to change some of the rules, right? A lot of the bump and run, about the coverage, about the illegal contact. Now it's about, scoring points and doing so through the air. There's been a little bit of a shift to kind of give running backs a little more love just from like the amount of rushes that people have had the last couple of years. But it's one of those things where if you can't touch a receiver, if you can't hit them over the middle the way they used to be able to get hit over the middle, why would you be rushing 40, 50 times a game if you can get points because you can get better receivers? The same thing goes to receivers. You can find receivers in the third and fourth round and win with them. So it's just a philosophy. I think the NFL has changed a little bit, and I think it's just it is a simplified take of, well, they're just not valued anymore, and part of that is because the rules have changed. There's no rules to protect running. There's no rules to protect running backs. They get fucked up all the time.
And I mean, running backs and quarterbacks used to dominate this league. Those were the two superstars. Just not the case anymore. And to what Chris just said about Zeke being the reason not getting paid, it's definitely a case to that. And it's just not Zeke though. It's Zeke. It's Todd Gurley. It's David Johnson. It's Le'Veon Bell. It was this like brutal run of every single running back contract going as bad as it possibly can. And it really hurt the running back market. I do have a take with the running back market a little bit. I'm definitely pretty pro running back doesn't matter type of thing. I do believe running game matters, but I do think running games are much more important to the offensive line and the scheme and things like that. But I will say that there is the idea of zigging when the league zags and things like that. And with how depleted the running back market is and what you're paying to get these running backs on your team, I do think it's getting to the point that these running backs are becoming a value. You just need to be careful when you're walking that line. You can't go crazy with the guaranteed money. You need to protect yourself. But I do like the Giants right now. I think what we're paying Saquon's a great deal, and I think he's bringing his value very much to what he's doing. Could we get Saquon's production potentially with a running back committee? Probably, as long as we have our offensive line and scheme is there. But I think it's different when you have a difference maker on your team. And like an example of this is like the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers were a top 5 running team every single year because they had a good offensive line and they had a good scheme. And every single year it was Matt Breida, Raheem Mostert, Elijah Mitchell, 6th round undrafted guys. They were getting this production. But you can obviously tell with Christian McCaffrey, even though the production isn't necessarily miles higher than it was, he is a difference maker on that team. He affects the success of that team. So, it's just trying to quantify how valuable that being a difference maker and being a playmaker is compared to just the production itself by doing running back committee. It's an interesting it's an interesting line to walk.
That's for damn sure. What you got, Sarge?
I mean, I think I've kind of said my piece on this whole thing. I was firmly for. Actually, no, I didn't say my whole piece because here's the thing: is on the other side of this whole thing, we've been talking about running backs, is the fact that our GM held his ground.
Yep.
Joe Shane, in his essentially it's his second off season, but it really isn't. Considering what he had to go through last year, he had no money to deal with. He had to build a staff. He had to hire a coach, and assess the scouting and jump right into the draft and this, that, and the other thing. This is his first real offseason where he has money to work with. He knows the coaches now, and he knows the kind of players they're looking for, and he maneuvered in a way that protects this team long term. Like, if some kind of weird set of circumstances and they fire Joe Shane tomorrow, but just the next GM who steps in is not where he was when he started.
Yeah.
He's left this organization right now today better off than when he got here. And he's going to continue to make decisions to put the team and the best interests of the franchise as a whole first. And he said it. I love Saquon. I love all of these guys, but this is a business. And as long as I am where I'm at, I'm going to make the best decision for the franchise as a whole. You know, he's not walking in thinking he's the smartest guy in the room and he's, doing all the things that, are what is it? What's the term? Joe Shane's despicable predecessor. Like we're not supposed to say the other name. By the way,
Shettleman.
I wanted to talk. Yeah, I wanted to talk about running backs tonight, and I kind of got to do my little quiz thing, but I saw NYG Weekly with the running back discussion headline, and I listened to that episode, and Will just talked for an hour and a half and didn't say anything. All he did was say words that didn't mean anything when he listened to them together. And I'm like, oh, good, they didn't cover any of the points that I wanted to. Good on. Thanks, Will. But anyway, it's my whole thing is that Saquon is going to make money, whether he makes it here or somewhere else. That's on him. My team is in a better position now than it was a year ago. And we're setting ourselves up for good decisions in the future.
Yep.
And that's what makes me happy.
Yeah. I mean that's kind of, the one thing, we're talking about now. We haven't really talked during this Saquon saga of like when we didn't come to a deal and then suddenly we did, and we got to talk about everything, how it wrapped up. But I'll say, kind of just top off of what you said, is I was really proud of what Joe Shane did, and that, we got, if they came to a deal, we would have just had to assume that Joe Shane held his line. And I do trust him, but we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
With this, we know he had a line like he said he did. And when it didn't match, he held. Well, with like Daniel Jones, we don't necessarily know. And to be fair, like, I think that there could be a reason that if he did go over, it's because there was one tag and there is something where, they offered Saquon more than they were offering him at the deadline. And it's because, you have to make a tough decision when there's one tag, and they shifted their focus to Jones. So they might have gone over him. But when they had the leverage and they were sitting there, he said, sorry, that's our number. That's the value we set. We can't come anymore. And, that's what good GMs do. And, I'm proud of Joe Shane. I'm proud of Joe Shane also to like not ending negotiations there. He went and they got something done, and Saquon wanted to be here. I'm proud and happy as Saquon to not trying to stick it to the Giants and understanding it's a business. It's, I'm overall just really happy how this whole saga played out. To put a bow on it for me.
For sure. Before we bring in our resident cap expert who's taking a break from his Pedro Pascal lookalike contest, I wanted to say that I think what it comes down to is, and I think I've said this to our next guest too, sometimes you have to realize when you don't have leverage. And I think Saquon realized when he was all out of leverage. It goes back to he wanted to be on this team. He wanted to be there day one to show leadership. And I think we're all just goddamn happy about it, because I think if Saquon's representatives had leverage on the Giants, they would have used it, but they didn't. So that's just the bottom line, is when you don't have leverage, you fucking take the deal, or you sit at home and you play with your nuts. And he didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? So I'm thankful because he's one of our best players, if not the best player on the team. From a talent perspective, and I just hope he stays healthy and comes out and has another monster year and helps the team.
Hell yeah.
So without further ado, we're gonna bring in our resident cap expert, who has a special guest with him as well. Probably the cutest thing on this show, or about to be. We're gonna bring in Mason and his puppy.
Yo,
what's up,
guys?
bro?
What's up?
How we doing?
This is Matty. This is
Hey,
Hey,
Maddie.
Maddie. She looks
hanging
very
out.
nervous. I think Sarge is making her nervous.
it's her first time. It's first time on a podcast. She's getting used to
It's
it.
it's a force of habit. Man. It's just my
What's up?
aura.
Yeah, it must be. It must be. But
What's
anyway,
up, bro?
thanks for having me on, guys. Not
you doing,
much,
dude?
man. Just chilling. Was listening to a little bit of what you guys were talking about.
Of course, you agree
exciting
with everything I
offseason.
say. It's cool. You agree with everything I say, and you don't agree with them. I get it. It's kind of just whatever. No, I brought you on because I wanted to ask of all of this. These are my questions for you're our cap expert. Of all the deals that we put together, and I feel like all of them were done well. Rank your favorite to least favorite, and explain, just quickly why that is. Like, which was your favorite deal in order? Stack rank them top to bottom.
Well, right now, I mean, without knowing the details on AT's deal, it's kind of hard, right?
Yep.
I mean, obviously, Andrew Thomas's deal is amazing because they're locking him up through 2029, so that's a huge win, right? I mean,
Yep.
It's pretty evident when he's on the team, when he's on the field. It's pretty evident that the team does better, across the board. I mean, DJ plays, differently with him on the field and off. Saquon's running game, Saquon's stats are, the running game stats are vastly different as well. So it's that's just huge cornerstone. Don't have to worry about it through 2029. Let it go. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The numbers on DJ deal, whatever, they are what they are. I wish they would have been closer to 30, 35, with incentives to get them up over 40 or whatever. If they could have managed that, that would have been the way to go. What I've liked the most about this is they've had to pivot at multiple instances. And they want to try and start working with Julian Love and Saquon right early. They didn't make they couldn't make it work. DJ was going through his situation with his agents. The plan was get Saquon signed and tag DJ, right? And then in a very short span, they got the deal done with DJ, because obviously that didn't start till after the combine. And when you think about it, it's like, he probably gave up a little bit, to get the deal done and be able to tag Saquon, right? People are upset that they didn't blow it up. Listen, look, at the end of the day, it's 6 of one and a half dozen of the other, right? I mean, if you rent these guys for the next 2 years and you figure out they're not the guys, okay, you spend a bunch of money doing it, but you're still in the same problem you would have been had you been blowing it up anyway right now, right? You're just about $100 million poorer, right? I mean,
Yeah.
That's and that's and that's Mara's problem, not ours, not his, right? So it is, at the end of the day, it ends up being the same thing. So I'm not overly concerned about that. But, the AT deal seems like an amazing deal. I really like the structure on Dex's deal. Daniel's deal, it'll depend. And I like what they did with Saquon. I mean, they held firm. They didn't go beyond where they needed to go. And that was important. I like what he did with Okereke's deal. So that was a good deal as well. The one that really stumped me was the trade for Waller. I mean, that kind of came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Now, the messed up part with the Andrew Thomas deal is, initially I kind of ran with it because normally Dan Duggan and Pat Traina are pretty good when they're reporting cap numbers. But it's really odd that they're talking about a $5 million cap hit in year one for Andrew Thomas. And the reason for that is he's got a $5 million signing bonus. And actually, Ricker this morning, when we were talking in one of the spaces, kind of caught it. And I had just gone with it because they said so. And I was just like, all right, we're going to save $5 million on his number. But the reality is if he's got a $16 million signing bonus, that's going to be a $3 million amortization this year. So we're probably only going to save $2 million or so on his actual cap hit. Which is why I had really never thought that it was going to be a move that they did this year. I thought it was going to be something that they did next year.
Do you think though the reason why they did it was because they feel like they're kind of saving money, not necessarily kicking the can down the road, but like saving money in the long run, because as he progresses, his value goes up, and they can always rework the deal because obviously if he wanted to hold out, he has leverage. But do you think they did that for that purpose to kind of just get him locked in, get him focused on the field, and he doesn't have to worry about money now, and all his representatives can take a break for at least a year or two and not have to worry about anything?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was thinking that, if he plays like he did last year, makes all pro again, I could have easily seen this, hitting $28 million,
Yeah.
25 to anywhere between 25 to $30 million a year.
What grade do you give Joe Schoen? What grade do you give him? Letter grade, or however you want to do a scale of 1 to 10. What's your grade for his deal?
So far overall, like last year and this year, I'm pleased with, I mean, there's reason to be, positive and optimistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's making good decisions on the free agency side. Looks like he's picking good players. The personnel department seems like it's working a lot better than it used to. The question is are his draft picks going to pan out, right? Last year, for the first year for a GM is always kind of weird with a draft. And, he talked about that. He said, now I've got a better feel for what Wink wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what he's looking for. He's got a better feel for, I mean, obviously he knew Dable, but, he's got a better feel for what they're trying to do offensively, blending that, sort of Kafka and Dable system, whatever that works out to be, right? So he's got a better feel for that, and full year of scouting with his team and his staff. That's a huge difference for him. So, the one thing that I would want to see from him is I want to see his picks obviously pan out. Last year there were a lot of injuries to the picks. It'll be interesting to see. Did the guys play because we just didn't have people, or did they play because they're actually good, right? Did Belton play? Did Belton get as much playing time? Would he have gotten as much playing time, say on the Ravens defense or the Niners defense, or even an average defense, right? As compared to ours, right? Like, so where is he in that scale? But I mean, it's Micah McFadden got trial by fire last year, right?
For sure.
So it'll be interesting to see how all these guys progress and everything and all that. So that's I'm kind of like let's just say B+ for right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to do a Sarge style around the horn. You guys give me there's a top 10 worst contracts in NFL history that I found, because I knew Mason was going to be on, so I wanted it to be contract specific. So we'll go around the horn. I'm going to go to Sarge first. What do you, in your recollection, what's one of the top 10 worst contracts in NFL history? Let's see if you get one of the 10.
I'm going to assume that there's at least 2 Dave Gettleman contracts on this.
There's not, but keep going.
Really? Not a single one?
Nope. These are top 10 in NFL history, so not Giants history.
Well, I was going to assume that the Nate Solder contract would be on there. Like, no, hold on.
Nope. It's not even even in the top 10. It's one man's opinion, so it's you can put that in there in your top 10.
Bobby Bonilla? No.
Yeah, somebody else who's with you there, Sarge.
Yeah, see, look.
Hey, listen, boys, I'm just fucking going off a top 10 list I pulled out of my ass. So pick a goddamn contract.
I can go if you need a minute, Sarge.
Monty, go.
I'm going to say Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley signed that big deal, and he didn't even play a snap on that contract. Not a single snap. He got extended on his rookie deal. He played on his 5th year and got cut before he even played a single snap on his extension. So I'm going to say Todd Gurley.
That is the number 4 worst contract of all time. Ding, 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 ding. Monty has that. It was a 4-year, $57.5 million contract with a $21 million signing bonus with $45 million guaranteed.
And he didn't see a dime of it. They
Nope.
didn't see a snap out of that.
They didn't see any production out of that. We're gonna give Mace. We're gonna give Sarge another minute to go through his Nate Solder.
I got one. I'm gonna steal Chris's. I'm gonna say
Okay.
Albert Haynes.
That's
Oh,
the
dude, no!
That was my
Ding,
backup
ding, ding,
too.
ding.
I was gonna say
Yep.
Albert Hainsworth, but I switched to Todd Gurley.
I think, and to anyone in the chat, because Chris just did it. The Kenny Galladay's was not. It's not updated enough to have that on there. So if we did our own, Deion Sanders is not on the list either, buddy. But Hainsworth definitely. I don't. That's an old one. This is probably a Bleacher Report. This is like a newer writer. Probably didn't know who Alvin Harper is. So just being honest. Just being honest. Mason, what you got?
Shit. So he took Albert Hainsworth. Damn it, because that's
That was
that's
first
one
one
of
that came to my mind too.
I'm gonna have to say, shit. Who's that receiver that was with the Packers, then went to the Broncos, and then ended up with the Raiders. God, I can't. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but two of the ones that come to mind: Yancey Thigpen and David Boston.
Neither of them are on the list.
No,
But this one,
Brian,
I have one
LeVar?
that I think you guys will, I think, appreciate because it definitely
I
was an
know.
overpay. Percy Harvin,
Louisville.
6 years, $67 million. After acquiring him from the Vikings, the Seahawks gave him a lucrative deal, which was a huge chunk of the 2013 season. Had fights with Golden Tate, had fights with Doug Baldwin, and
They
So
did trade him though, right?
They did, but they were on the hook for about 75% of that contract. So
I got one
They were
for
probably
you.
still paying him.
go ahead.
No, it wasn't another six.
Sean
It was okay.
Alexander.
Go ahead.
Sean Alexander.
No Sean Alexander.
Brock Osweiler.
No.
Yep.
No, they had to
No.
trade a
Let's-
second-round pick to get rid of his contract.
Yeah, that was a bad contract. DeMarco Murray.
I am
NBA
imploring you guys to realize that this is not my list. Carson Wentz is on the list. This list from Chris Peace in the
I can
chat.
see that.
Yep. And his contract, if we look at it, was 4 years, $128 million. I think it was $68 million guaranteed, and he got released after one season.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they had a $47 million dead cap hit
Yep.
just for him.
Is that his
This might be my favorite one. That was Redskins.
Oh, that was his Redskins contract.
This might be my favorite one, and it's honestly, this is splitting hairs. It's a bad contract for the years, but it was off of an unbelievable year. Dante Culpepper got a 10-year extension for $102 million, which at that time was lucrative money. He injured his knee.
Mahomes' life.
Yes,
Yeah.
injured his knee, was never the same. So that's more bad luck than it was just bringing a guy in. But a smart GM is not going to go 10 years, $102 million after
Not
one
on a quarterback.
franchise year.
Yeah, not on a
So
quarterback.
that was
Well,
one,
I
and then another one that I liked on this list is Mike Vick, 10 years, $130 million.
I didn't know there were this many 10-year contracts. Wow.
Dude, back in the 90s, they used to throw out these 10-year deals, these 8-year deals. They thought that was like the thing to do.
It's fun.
Yep.
It's funny that it worked out so terribly back then, but now Mahomes has the best contract in like all of football. He's one of the best contracts ever.
This one is kind of turning around.
Well,
even though he's not
it's
on the same
it's a
team.
great contract for the team. Now for him,
Right.
And for him,
Yeah.
it's great too because of the way it's structured and the way, right now this year he's securing like 3 or 4 years of guarantees right ahead of time. So every year he plays, he gets like 2 or 3 more years of guarantees. It's insane.
All right. Before you leave us, Mason, I need to ask you one very important question. If you were the GM for a day, who would you have signed? Who would you have brought to the team or targeted that Joe Schoen did not?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I know. I asked it.
Damn.
And if you think of any contracts that got signed elsewhere that you really liked, then might be that too. Any structures you really liked.
Yep, that could be one too.
And I'm trying to now. I got to go back and think of all the deals that were signed. The one that I think surprised me was, God, who was it? I think I would have taken C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah, that's a good contract.
I was shocked by that deal. I thought he probably would have been in the $10 to $15 million range.
Didn't he just get hurt too? He just turned around like
he's okay.
Yeah, an Eagles fan clubbed him in the knee for talking shit about Philly, which I loved.
Yeah, but I mean,
he got Nancy Kerrigan.
Yeah, he got kneecapped.
Nancy Kerrigan. I would have solved our slot corner issue right off the bat. I mean, he's an amazing player out of the slot. Can play all over the field. Can compress the defense a lot. And work in space too. So absolutely, I think he would have been a great addition for Wink. I think he could have used them in so many different ways, and especially at that dollar number. That I think it would have been a tremendous addition for the team. So that's the one that I really would have gone for. The one that I'm trying to think, the one that really kind of surprised me was the guard with the Falcons, $20 million. I was like, dude, I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank on his name
Lindstrom,
right now. $20 million. Yeah, Lindstrom. $20 million for a damn guard. Wow.
He's a good player, but Jesus.
Oh, I was just like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money for a guard. But no, that's crazy. That's where it's going. I mean, but that's the thing, though. You're going to spend. If you're going to spend your money, spread it out long term. Do it on the offensive line with your quarterback. That's where you want to get your long term deals in, and the rest, go with the flow.
Oh shit! I just cut him off. Where are you at? I'm not kicking you out yet. I'm not kicking you out just yet. I didn't do that on purpose. I swear.
No,
I swear. I thought of one more question because you're our Pedro Pascal lookalike. So you got it. Okay, so last one.
You know how Sal says he's not a content creator? I'm going to put next to mine, Mason. I am not Pedro Pascal.
That's fine. I love it. I'm literally
question mark at the end. Gotta do the question
I think I'm gonna clip this. I'm gonna screenshot your face. And I'm gonna put your face on my profile and say I am Pedro Pascal. So if you're like this, that's perfect. No, okay. So last question. Fun time. Narcos, Game of Thrones, or The Last of Us? Go.
Narcos. Fuck yeah.
There you go.
Very good. I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Mason, who is not Pedro Pascal. Good night, Maddie. We love you. You're prettier than your owner, but
yeah, you are.
Bye, sweet girl. Bye. Take care, bud. Thanks so much. I swear I didn't mean to cut him off. That was like a little click of the mouse by accident. But yeah, no, I'm dead serious. Every time I see, because Pedro Pascal is everywhere, I'm like, oh, it's fucking Mason talking this shit. I love it. Mason's so passionate about cap stuff. He's a true numbers guy, and I literally I love it. But it's like he's like, I love the way that was structured. You know what I mean? You can just hear it in his voice. It's fucking awesome. That's like it's crazy. Go ahead, Monty.
No, it's like we have all this information. Like, ask them about Andrew Thomas. Like we have like the years and the money and the guarantee. We just don't have how it's the cash flow is. It makes just like, yep, can't judge it yet because
I can't comment now because I don't have the AAV.
Yeah,
I love it. It is awesome. He's passionate about that the way I'm passionate about I don't know. I don't think I'm as passionate about anything. You know what I mean? Like maybe movies, maybe like our impending horror podcast that Sarge and I will do in the fall. Horror movie passion. You might see a different side of Smooth. But that's awesome, Mace. Thank you so much for your time. What you got?
talking about horror. I got my new Cthulhu T-shirt.
Nice.
I love it. I love it. Before we kind of wind down the podcast, is there anything else you guys have seen, like content-wise? I wanted to point out because our boy Richard Coolin Hero on Twitter always has some gems, with his comments, and he gave a big shout out to Brandon Brown because Joe Shane is getting all the love, and but Brandon Brown having that Philly influence, as I almost throw up saying that word, but I do appreciate, and I made a comment today on Twitter that's an absolute GOAT comment because he talked about how we're so lucky to have him because of the way Howie Roseman has manipulated contracts and trades over the years. And I think that's 100% true. Like it's a collaborative process. Joe Shane isn't in an office by himself the way Dave Gettleman was on draft day, flipping over fucking, note cards. It's collaborative. They're going through, hours and hours of relationships and leveraging all the things that they have at their disposal. And I think that's a huge part of it. So I am giving some love to Brandon Brown and also Rich. Great
100%,
comment.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
We are always pissed about like, how does Howie Roseman do this? How does he get all these players? Doesn't Philly have the same salary cap that we do? If you see his name on caller ID on draft day, don't pick up the phone because you're going to lose. Yeah, and the fact that we've got somebody in our front office who studied this evil wizard of the GM world, who knows where all the bodies are buried. It shows you like how Joe Shane immediately was like, I want that guy.
Yeah.
Like I want the guy who he leans on. I want that guy as my number one. And Howie Roseman was so pissed he tried to get the rules changed about when front office and scouting people can get hired. He's like, no, it has to happen after the draft now. I can't lose these people before the draft because they know all my secrets. So yes, Brandon Brown is amazing, and I'm going to continue to say that he does large amounts of cocaine and shoot hookers, so other teams won't steal him.
I mean, a shout out to just like Joe Shane and what he did building this front office. Because if you look at where we came from of this just nepotism of the same people that were here for decades on decades and no fresh ideas in here. There you go. It's a very Howie move. I'm sure that is something you can credit Brandon Brown too. But not only Brandon Brown, but then we brought in Dennis Hickey, a former GM and who was in Buffalo with Joe Shane. We brought in Ryan Cowden, the former interim GM in Tennessee, who is a part of the quote unquote Charlotte Mafia over over at the Panthers with Joe Shane. And they those are guys who were all GM candidates or have been a GM at one point in time. The strength that we are building in this front office. We have some scouts who won awards now. And I mean, we say all the great things. We know we have a great coaching staff, but this front office is legit.
Monty, you stop talking dirty, man. I can't. I won't be able to stand up for a little while. God damn, trying to get us all funny and shit. What is going on? What? What'd you say, Sarge?
I said I can only get so hot.
See, I needed to hear the joke.
Thank God I'm standing. Thank God I'm standing, and you can't see.
Well, listen, guys. Unless you have anything else, I mean, I think this is a good time to cut it off. And I mean, our next podcast.
I think we got. I mean, we got 5 minutes. I think we could do 5 minutes on training camp.
I was about to piss my pants, so.
I mean, you can go pee, but Monty is like trembling in his chair because he wants to talk about Bryce Ford Easy for 5 minutes.
Go ahead, Monty. Tell me about
They
Wheaton
talk
Warrior.
about
please.
Darren Waller catches everything thrown his way, and nobody can block him. That is the general consensus from all of Giants Twitter. Is
Yeah,
Darren Waller cannot be stopped.
the Giants defense not being able to cover
Thank
tight
you,
ends. I mean,
Kadarius
that's a
Toney.
tale as old as time.
That's true. But I did tell my Cowboy fan wife that I was like, we finally have a better tight end than you do. So it's only taken about 20 years, but we're here.
Yeah,
we're here now.
Here we are. But yeah, no, I mean, it's weird. I feel like people just keep forgetting about Darren Waller. Like all offseason, like, oh, we need a wide receiver one. I'm like, we have Darren Waller. I'm not saying he's a wide receiver one, but it's like people are like, we didn't really upgrade this wide receiver core. We did. It was Darren Waller. Like that was the receiver that we added.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, like he is going to, if he is healthy, knock on wood, he is going to be our number one without a question. He's the most talented pass catcher we've had since Odell, without question.
I don't disagree. I think I heard there was a take like that. I think most people looked at it that way. I mean, he's a big guy. He's lean. He's fast. He's physical. He's a nightmare, man. He's a nightmare to cover. And honestly, I like what they did because they have that matchup nightmare where they can put him in the tight end position. They can line him up on the outside, but they also have guys that they can do different things with that are reliable. They have, I hate to bring up his name, but they have guys to replace Kadarius Toney, like a Paris Campbell. So they're going to have the same style of offense with more speed, with more playmakers, and I'm just excited, man. And you have Bryce Ford Wheaton. I mean, what else could we ask for?
Man, he's gonna be fun to watch. He's definitely a preseason type guy. I'll say to a point of like if he makes his roster, that could make it. He is a special teams guy. Like he really is. He
better be.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a wide
receiver, 475 wide receivers on the roster. He's got to find a spot somewhere
for sure. And if he's going to be like, if he makes the team, it's going to be as like a wide receiver 7. So you need that guy to play special teams. But the West Virginia coaches used to applaud him on special teams. He was our wide receiver 1, and he played well. He apparently had a great showing of special teams at his pro day. He's a big, fast guy who gives effort on special teams. We'll still need a returner. Basically, back rapper Kadarius.
I mean,
all right.
I ain't mad at that.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I've seen the video.
But I could see it. I could definitely see him, but there's a lot of competition. So, I mean, it's going to come down to how this all plays out. But he's the prototype of the type of guys who succeed in preseason and training camp.
Oh, yeah.
All
right, guys. I'm literally about to piss my pants, so let's end this show.
I'll say one thing before we get out. Shout out Chris Peace. Says bachelor parties this weekend. So congrats and getting married, buddy. Thanks for being in here. We appreciate you. Congratulations.
Yes, sir. I love it. Love it. I want to know the details on the bachelor party at some point. You can private message me. Don't worry. We'll keep it on the DL.
Don't invite pests. Everyone's
don't
Everybody's getting arrested. Everybody's getting arrested. All right. So that's going to wrap things up for this week. Don't forget to do the thing and click the thing, like and subscribe. Hit the alert button because when we go live, who knows when we go live? We're just going to do the damn thing whenever we feel like it because that's how we are. So for Monty and Big Smooth, who is about to be his parents, I am Merman Mayhem. We will be back soon, and we'll talk about stuff. Have a good night.
See you guys.